Hello, hello. Let me fix the camera here. Let's see. Is this about right? Probably. So, okay. Hi. Thanks for joining the stream. So I am Riho. If you don't know, I am a game developer and I work on a tycoon game called Office Management 101, where you run an office, design your products, and so forth. We have Justin again. Hi. Yep, having a good day. Took a break a little, kind of, from the streaming. I was gonna do a stream last Wednesday, but I didn't. And then I changed the whole schedule back to what it originally was, which was once a week and on Mondays. So that's what we'll have now. And I've been talking about it on the streams previously already. But it's got to do with the fact that there's more entertainment coming back here. The Estonian Football League starts off from tomorrow on again, and also on Wednesday, which would be exactly on the same time as my previous stream slot was. And I've decided that I want to watch that football. But last week I actually watched something a bit different, although still kind of sports related. There was a tournament for FIFA esports here in the Baltics, where real Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian footballers took part of it, and it was like an interesting thing. I'm not really an esports guy. I don't really follow it at all. But since real footballers were involved in that, I decided to give it a look, and it was actually kind of interesting, unexpectedly so even. And I learned some new things. I haven't ever played the FIFA games myself, maybe except for the really old ones, like, I don't know, 98 or something like that. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. So I don't know if I would watch it again if they ran another such tournament. And they were talking about maybe trying to do something like that more regularly. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway, real football is back in some forms. I watched the German league game on Saturday. Bundesliga is the league, and I haven't really done that at all either, actually. I previously watched mostly English football and some Italian last year. So German was new to me as well. So as it turned out, actually, Estonia is the fourth European country to play football at this time. We'll see how it goes. Like, if someone gets infected, will they be quarantined? would the whole team be quarantined? I don't know. We'll see. But otherwise, the statistics here in Estonia are looking prettier. Like we're down to low numbers of new infections being found every day. So we can't say the situation is normalizing, but it's gotten a lot better than it was. And thanks to that, the state of emergency that's been in effect here for like 2 months already or something is now officially over. So there's like some level of normalcy that works. Some rules still apply, social distancing and all that. Events, a lot of events are still banned, and travel is also banned in many ways, and so forth. So we're still far from everything going back to normal, especially when we're talking about the economy here. Anyway, that's my little introduction to everything here. But let's get you actually doing what I'm doing today. So I figured I'm gonna try and do something really different from what I've done so far on the streams. And I'm gonna try and mock up and figure out some game mechanics for Office Management 101. And one of the things that I started working on last year was the ability to make your own products in the game. In the demo, it was only possible to work for other companies as a contractor, but you couldn't actually make your own stuff. So I did have a mechanic in place. I can quickly show some stuff from that. So basically, this is a screenshot that I took today, and this is the kind of the mechanic I was going with. So to design products, you had like these different shapes, sort of like a Tetris style, that you could drag and drop into a grid. And I have some older mock-ups of that drawn. Like this is where the I was testing out how the UI would look like and so forth. I tried different sizes and whatnot, and how to fit the information on there. But now, as you can see on the screenshot here, it doesn't quite fit in the constraints if the resolution is small. So you have these scroll bars everywhere, and it's kind of like messy looking. But just real quickly, I can show it in the game as well, because I don't think I've ever showed it, like ever. Not in screenshot forms, not in visual form of any kind. So yeah, APL even confirms that this is new. But actually, I was just checking the dates on some of these mock-ups, and those are from like a year ago even. So almost a year at least. So that's it's been around for a while, and I just haven't showed it. So you can drag and drop the elements in here. You can sort of like try to find a way to fit them in here. So the idea was that like specific layouts of these elements would be patented. So if like if you make this design, you patent it, then your competitors can't use this specific design. And like this would be another design, this would be another design. So that was like kind of my thought process here. But also to show that you don't even have to specifically use all of these components, but you could use like only one sort of component, for example. But the problem with this is, besides the UI thingy, is that I was checking the game Good Company, and apparently they have like pretty much the same mechanic in there. And it's totally by coincidence, but they just happened to come up with something really similar. I haven't played it, their game, but I watched some gameplay clips, and that's what their mechanics looked to me, at least. So maybe I should also play it to get a better understanding of theirs, but either way, since I feel like it would be too similar. And in addition, we have this this limited space problem here as well. I figured maybe I could come up with another mechanic that is kind of similar, but not exactly. Which is what I have going on here then. So I downloaded this program called Wireframe Sketcher, which is mostly made for UI mock-upping. You could design like websites here, or like software interfaces or stuff like that. So it has like components ready for that. But I'm using it for a bit of a different purpose here. So I wanted something that would enable me to just click and drag elements into a grid, and then maybe add comments here and there, and see how it would work, and just play around with it. Normally I would have done this on paper, like this grid in the back, this 3x3 grid. I would have drawn that on paper, or maybe I would have used like a chessboard or something like that. I used to have a chessboard somewhere, but I don't know if maybe I threw it away. But anyway, drawing a grid is pretty like straightforward, right? And then I would have just drawn these icons on sticks of paper, and I would have just moved those around, and then seeing how it would work. But since I wanted to show it to you guys as well, then I opted to this program. But there's some programs that would work better for something like this, but I didn't really know how to search for it. One of the programs actually that I considered trying was Tabletop Simulator. I have it, but I have not played it at all, so I didn't really know what's there, but I did actually manage to install it today, but I did not launch it because it looked like this program was good enough already anyway. So anyway, what the idea here is kind of based on the 15 puzzle game that I assume most of you are familiar with. I had something like this in my childhood already, and I'm pretty sure it's a concept that's been around for a while. So basically you have to order these tiles by number, and you have this one empty tile that you can sort of move around, and you can arrange the numbers that way. I don't really remember how to play this game properly anymore, but either way, I thought that maybe I could use like a similar mechanic. So instead of those like Tetris pieces that I had before, well, not exactly Tetris, but like bigger pieces, each of the pieces would be just one tile size, like here, and then you have like one hole that you can move around, and you can arrange the components that way. And the arrangement of those components is what determines the parameters of that product then. In the same way, they could be patented, for example. So if your competitor comes up with a layout, then you can't use it anymore. Or maybe if you do use it, then you risk getting sued or something. In a way, I am a bit worried that maybe this sort of a mechanic would become annoying over time. So I don't know. I'm definitely interested in any kind of feedback and input you can give me here. So basically this. Wait, let me stop this. Reset. This is kind of like a smaller version of that same thing. So you could move these around. Right. And then you end up with like groups of elements, sort of like a match 3 game would. And maybe that could, for example, determine your task levels. So in the game right now, when you're working on projects, you have different level tasks, and you need the employee to be at least on the same level to work on that task. But also like higher desks would have like some kinds of benefits for the project. So maybe it would sell more or something like that. So with the current layout, say we have the screens combined, which would make it like level 3 testing, since these screens are testing. And then we would have 3 times level 1 testing. Oh, not testing, engineering. And then we would have like 2 times level 1 design. But also what this could give me would be maybe I could look into each rows and columns and make some design mechanics there. So like one of the questions that I need to figure out here then is if those affect something, then what? And one of the ideas or thoughts that I had for it would be like having different demographics or different interest groups in each of these rows. So say this first row would affect children, these would affect adults, and these would affect seniors, for example. So that way you'd have like a mechanic to cater to specific specific groups of people. And maybe then on the marketing side you also have to take that into account and stuff like that. So that's one option, but I'm kind of just like brainstorming here because I have not really thought this through at all. The idea came to me last night, just about when I was in bed trying to sleep. So I did have like maybe like 10 minutes of thought put into it, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, the question is, what exactly do I want to do here then? Like one of the options, as you saw in this screenshot that I had for the previous schematics, was that the shapes aren't always square or rectangular here, and I mean the grid shape. There's better examples of that in the game, maybe. So continue. So like this would be one grid, this could be another, and so forth. But with that, if I do leave the empty slot, like somewhere here or here. Well, in this one it wouldn't be that big of a problem, but in some layouts that are kind of like disconnected, say if it had this part as well. Let's say like this instead. Then you wouldn't be able to manipulate these here. Unless, I mean, it's not out of the question that I leave more holes. And you'd have the option to do either this or this instead. Like move both holes around. So there's different kinds of options here that I can work with. But like I was saying, that I do kind of fear that this kind of a mechanic would become annoying at some point. And if that's the case, then I probably should add like a button that would just generate a random layout for you, and you don't have to do it manually if you don't want to. So maybe the random one wouldn't be the most efficient, but it would give you like options. So yeah. So now the question is, so let me write those down here. The questions that I need answers for eventually are so what do the rows and columns affect? The demographics. But then are the grid shapes different? Or maybe varied? Or only rectangular? And then are there more holes to move into? And also, what do the task levels do? Let's make this a bit bigger just in case. So I don't know, is the font size big enough here? I guess it depends on what kind of screen are you using, but I can make it a little bit bigger. Let's see, 16, that's too big. Let's go with this then. Same here. And these are probably fine. So yeah, what do we even start with? I guess task levels are the main question here. So let's take a project as an example and see what that means in the game right now. Oh, also worth mentioning probably is that I've expanded the playlist that plays in the back of these streams now. Previously it was 6 songs, now it's 9. I felt like some of the music that I've been working on the stream is sort of mature enough for having it play on the background here. And I also updated a few that I worked on. Like one that previously played was like 40 seconds long or something. Now it's like minute 40. So it's a step forwards in that. But also like 9 semi-finished songs for the soundtrack is pretty good already, I feel like. But in total that's like, right now in their unfinished state, that's like 20 minutes and 30 seconds of music, which definitely isn't enough in my opinion. Ugh. Gas is here. Anyway. So yeah, so 20 minutes is not enough, but I do have a bunch more that we have been working on the stream and off the stream. So it's coming along, and perhaps, I don't know, like 40 minutes is something to shoot for here. Maybe more, we'll see. Because music is something, creating music for the game is something really enjoyable for me, and I too intend to continue working on that, even like probably far into the future. So levels. So we have like 2 kinds of levels for the project, I think. One is the level of the project itself, although I'm not sure if that's actually even stored somewhere, or is it more like a theoretical level of the project that just comes from the tasks. And anyway, the tasks have levels then. And this one has level 1 engineering, so pretty much any engineer can work on this. But if this was level 2 engineering, then level 1 employees can't work on it. And some of you are maybe familiar with it. I'm just explaining it just in case you have not played the game yet. But now I'm trying to see if I have a save game somewhere that has higher level projects. This one probably. static there. Or maybe not. Let's give it a try. If it loads, it loads. If it crashes, it crashes. Oh, and it loaded. It's probably all kinds of broken. But maybe it works. So, no projects here though. So that was a bust. So what else do we have? Spring. I'm looking at the dates mostly here. Maybe this one then. Okay, yes, we have a level 2 project here. Okay, we also have management task. That is not... that is not going to be part of the product design here. Because the management task is there's always just one management task per project, and then that just depends on the level of the project. So let's switch back to this. So one management task here for the Ross Bullman. And level 2 testing, but there also sometimes are like level 1 tasks or like one level below tasks for higher level projects. And all that really affects is pretty much the payment here and the level of the employee. And why would the client pay more for higher level projects then? By that logic, I'd say because it sells more. So we have like one maybe answer to one of the questions here. So what do the task levels do? Sell more. Sell more or for a higher price per item. Noticing that my laptop here is running out of battery. Just give me a moment. Which is weird, because the charger is connected. That is weird indeed. I guess I don't really like need it, so I can shut down the laptop. It's just more convenient for me. But then again, might as well keep it running while it can. Yeah, it's weird. I haven't had this happening before. So it does say that it's charging, but maybe there's some issue there. Weird. And yeah, I can quickly explain what that laptop even is about. I have like 4 screens in front of me here. So one is my streaming software, then the main screen that you're looking at here. Then I have the chat open in a tablet here. Then I positioned the laptop also left to me, and that shows my Twitch management interface. So lots of screens, lots of stuff going on, but it's more convenient this way than switching around between the windows on just on my 2 screens. So anyway, before we went into that nonsense, I did have an answer for one of the questions here, or like a direction at least. But so what does it mean actually if the item sells more? How do we like measure it, or how is it actually like implemented then? And you know, feel free to pitch in any thoughts that you might have here. Game design, I feel like, has never really been my strong suit. I've probably gotten better at it over the years, but it's probably not like a natural thing for me compared to some of the other things that I do for the game. I don't know, programming is natural to me. Like even music is quite intuitive to me. Even the pixel art, thanks to understanding the mechanics of pixel art, I can intuitively figure some of those things out, but with game mechanics, it's kind of a more like just trying to think of random things and then fitting it together somehow into a coherent game. So the question was task levels. Play around in the game a little and seeing where it takes me. Because almost I never play the game itself, actually. On the streams, I mean. So like maybe if I play around a little, I'll get some thoughts. Where'd you go? I would start a new game, but for some reason the game crashed when I tried to do that. So I messed up something. So that's why I loaded this game. But I could load something better, actually. I don't know, let's take this one. Or I guess not. What about this then? Okay, we have like a little bit of something going on here. We have some level 2 tasks. Yeah, this is actually quite a good start for this. So we have level 2 testing here. Billy is working on it. Or has been working on it. This can be submitted, actually. Oh, wait, at least this one can. What else do we have here? Jamie is also working, or has been working on level 2 design. So, okay, let's submit this one. They don't like that I missed the deadline, but that's fine. So what else is here? No gift received. We have some level ups. I'll get into that in a moment. And I can also submit this one. Which has also missed the deadline, but that's fine. Take the penalty, we take the relationship minus here. And then this one we need a manager for. And the deadline has also passed for this. So who do we even have working here? So we have Billy, who is a tester. Jamie Mankins is a designer. Hannah is aggressive because he is scared to look weak and enjoys playing electronic games. my level 2 manager. And Mervin is the CEO. We can rename this fella to my real name. But unfortunately we can't change his appearance right now. So he could do some simple things like look for contract work. So everyone else was level 2. Okay. I don't have a level 2 programmer here. So probably I need one of those. Oh, Billy likes Hannah. And Jamie hates Billy, even though they're like twins or something. And hates Jamie. Okay. So there's some drama going on in the office. But so let him. Oh yeah. Also, I could level her up, but I won't right now because the way the game is designed at the moment, and it's kind of a bad design, I feel like, and there's been some complaints about it. Is that when you level up your manager before your employees, then you start getting those level 3 projects and you don't have anyone at that level to work on it. We also need a janitor here, don't we? This looks like a mess. What else? I also wanted to check what my relationships with the companies are. So ecosystems, the relationship is bad. Quite bad actually. Same with turn-off electronics. Do need to get those up somehow if I hope to work with them. So we have the twins coming to work. Should name them accordingly. If they're twins, then they should have the same last name. Usually, so Mankins, I like that name better. So we have Billy Mankins and Jamie Mankins. Oh yeah, I can level up the employees though, and then I can level up the manager as well. Which is nice then. Okay. So Billy has late riser, slow work junkie. What can I give him? Fast learner is a good one, since it gives double XP. And then Jamie, what will you be? Less energetic is a decent one. Then I can level up the manager. And I can give them high motivation. So the quality of this is awful. And that's probably because... wait, what's going on? So we have level 1 design. Who can do that? Jamie. Because of all the trash around, our quality is really low. So maybe we should invest into that. Plastic plant gives some quality bonus. So let's get some of those. Toilet paper. Oh yeah, this is one of the new things that I drew on stream. And I do think that a proper office should have some toilet paper somewhere. Unfortunately, it can only be placed on walls. And then it's too far from the toilet, so I have to rearrange things here. So, Voxelcoder, hi there. Thanks for joining the stream. How are you doing? I'm kind of playing my own game here, just as a backdrop to figure out some game mechanics. And yeah, that's what's going on. And I don't think I've ever properly played the game on the streams, at least not this year. So that's kind of a first one. So here, toilet paper on the wall. Now I'm realizing I don't have mirrors in the game. Probably should add those at some point. So you can put mirrors on your bathroom wall behind the sink, maybe. Or maybe if you're weird, you'll want to place it so the person sitting on the toilet is staring at his reflection. Oh yeah, this reminds me, there was this bar nearby some place where I used to live, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. And that bar was in a basement of a school dormitory. And I went there sometimes because the beer was cheap and it had pool. Not a pool, but the pool game, billiards. And yeah, anyway, in the bathroom of that toilet there was a mirror wall, basically. but it was one of those see-through mirrors. So it was a mirror from the bar side, right? But the toilet side was see-through. So while you were taking a dump there or taking a piss or whatever, you could see into the bar. And that was so weird, and it kind of felt like everyone was like having a good view at me while I was in the bathroom. It's a weird experience, but I guess that sort of became a thing of that bar. So anyway, Voxel Goder, thank you so much for following. Very much appreciated. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. What are you working on there? What are you coding on? I also sometimes code on the streams, which is why I'm in this streaming category in the first place. But today I'm kind of doing something different. I can quickly show where I was at earlier here. So I have like this UI mockupping software that I installed today. But instead I was trying to sort of make game mechanics here instead. So this is not the UI exactly, but I just needed something that would enable me to drag elements around within a grid. So if we go back to the game, basically I had this sort of a mechanic for product design here, but I decided to not take this route and try something different, and that's what I was trying to mock up there in the software. So VoxelCoder is working on a vocabulary learning app, mainly aimed at people at 30 and up, and of course students. Okay, that sounds pretty like interesting. So it's like a mobile app. Is it like a specific language, or is it like a generalized thing of sorts? I would be in your demographic in that case. I'm 37 now, even though I don't really look like it. But that's my age. So yeah, like I feel like I'm in the age where it's harder to learn new languages compared to when I was younger, and I could just grasp a new language more easily, more intuitively. So that's when I picked up like lots of languages that I've forgotten by now. Well, English, I still can understand, obviously, but my pronunciation is definitely not perfect, and my accent is pretty much awful. And also, my vocabulary when it comes to English when speaking is kind of limited. But as a kid, I did watch a lot of German channels. So I picked up some German from there. I've pretty much forgotten everything about it by now. But at that time I could understand it pretty well. Finnish also because I live in Estonia and Finnish channels were like the cool thing during the whole Soviet Union era, when we had only like limited entertainment available. What else? Finnish. Well, a little bit of Russian. I did learn it in school, but that never like stuck properly. So yeah, languages are interesting, definitely. So anyway, to catch up on what you're talking about here, that's actually the whole catch. You can make your own vocabulary lists. The app automatically sets up flashcards for you to learn with and personalized vocabulary tests, so you can learn every language with it. Okay, so it's like a flashcards method for learning words, then, I guess, is how I understand it. I felt like I mostly learn better just by watching things. So I don't know, like watching TV shows or something like that without subtitles, and then just the brain sort of does the learning on its own. Because you sort of like, you see a concept of some kind, like I don't know, like you see a fruit in the TV show and someone is talking about it, then the brain sort of like makes that connection, like that must be it. But I'm not sure how you would put something like that in a app form. But yeah, sounds like a cool, neat project you're working on. If you do want to post any links or whatnot for others to check out, feel free to do so. So anyway, I was trying to play this game though. What programming language are you using, by the way, for it? Is it Java? Because that's mostly used for apps, I think. So I can submit this. I missed the deadline by a mile, but that's fine. And then I can level up. Didn't I already level this guy up? Maybe I didn't then. So what can I give him? This methodical is kind of like meh. So how about, we don't have an engineer in the company, so you'll get that. What else can we do here then? I could look for new contract work, but I do need an engineer as well. So Look for new employees. So you're using Dart for the front end since you're using Flutter, and the back end you're writing in Python. Okay. So that's a different kind of setup than I'm used to. Because all the mobile stuff that I've done has been Java based. I did write some Python for a company I used to work for. Just before I became a game developer. So that was like, I don't know, for half a year or something. Like hopped in the project to help them launch it, and then once it was launched, then I pretty much quit because I didn't really feel like continuing that path, and became a game developer instead. My quality is low, and not much I can do about that, sorry. I could put some more plants around, or maybe like a desk clamp. But yeah, Flutter is worth looking into if you want to create mobile apps. It's developed by Google and open source, and is really similar to CSS. Okay. Yeah, sounds like something that I could look into. Although I'm not doing anything with mobile apps these days. I started this game actually as a mobile game, but like halfway through, or even much earlier, I figured that this is more of a PC game after all, and my tablet was starting to have problems running it. You know, the FPS was really low and whatnot. Although my tablet really is old as well, so maybe on my my smartphone it would run better, but I haven't really tried ever. And it would definitely need some work at this point to make it run on Android in the first place. Or by the way, your app, is it Android based, or is it for iPhone as well, or only for iPhone? Also, thanks for saying that the game looks awesome. It's been taking a while. I've been working on it for like 6 years now. Kind of on and off as a hobby project, or a glorified hobby, as I tend to call it. I'm just realizing I need tables for some paperwork. Let's put them here. Yeah, I call it a glorified hobby because because it's pretty much like zero budget, and I do need to do other sorts of work to keep the lights on, so to say. So I work freelance stuff for making money. You know, hopefully eventually this game will also make some money, but that's not like the priority for it. So I was trying to submit this. And finally, the client is happy with us, and we received a gift. Open gift. Oh, it's a lamp. Where do I put it? Maybe I should get like a small table for the lamp here. There we go. So your app is Android and iOS based. Flutter makes it really easy to develop for both systems. Basically takes a few days stops to port it from Android to iOS. Okay. Sounds nice then. The framework I'm using for this game is called LeapGDX, and that also has both Android and iOS support. Although the issue is that it's OpenGL based for graphics, and Apple has deprecated OpenGL from their systems. So it still works at this point, but it might not work for much longer. I'm also noticing a bug just now. For some reason, her leg is on the chair. So I should save this. Leg on chair bug. We'll have to look into that. Yeah, like the tile sorting in isometric 2D is quite complicated. Which is probably one of the reasons this kind of stuff keeps happening. So where are my projects at? Where the projects at? I might have some employees to look at though. A level 1 engineer. Who do we have? Bookworm. A bookworm is an interesting perk for employees. It's a rare one. It's a rare one, but when you get it, then this employee only eats the paper laying around in the office, and that's like one of the main ways to get rid of paperwork at this point. Although I did make a mod for paperwork shredding as well. But anyway, I do think that we should hire that person, Cynthia. Even though she's an engineer but dislikes computers and enjoys knitting while watching thrillers. I think this chair was unassigned, right? Yes. So you get this chair, you get this paperwork here. You can go munch on this box of papers if you want to. Okay, so questions here. Any plans to make the game work on iOS in the future or Mac OS? We'll see. It's a challenge. It depends on what libgdx does, kind of. Because the way it's set up right now is that OpenGL is pretty much like deeply integrated into libgdx, and there's not much I can do about that unless I want to work on that engine myself. It is open source, but that would probably take a lot of time and work to get done. And I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed that there are some other game developers out there that have that same question and the same interest, but maybe they're more like financially secure and they'd have like more tangible benefits from doing any Mac port. Like, I mean, if my game sells like a small amount only, then the percentage of Mac users would probably, or potential Mac users would probably be like, I don't know, like so small that I would lose a lot of money by doing that work myself. So it depends. If the game is like really highly successful, then of course I would want to port it to Macs as well. But if it's not a big hit, then I just probably can't afford that port. So we'll see. So I should start looking for... I should stop looking for employees and start looking for new contract work. Also sent back to work. And get in some higher level projects, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to play around in the first place. They're all slacking off. The thing with slacking is that it's contagious. So they start talking to each other and they sort of infect each other that way. So, you know, sometimes a good office layout would take that into account and try to keep people separate, kind of. But you know, there are still some benefits with keeping people together as well. Like when you want the project managers to assign the work themselves, and that way you don't have to do it manually. So, some Saturday slacking going on here. I don't know why they're even still in the office talking about religion. Shouldn't you go home? It is Saturday. Oh, and the way it works in this world is that they work throughout the week from Monday to Friday, and then on Saturdays or Friday evenings actually they go home and come back to work on Mondays. So it's this crazy crunch, I guess, but that's normal in this hyper-capitalistic world. So I don't have to actually wait around. I can speed up time. I can even skip days if I wanted to, but I won't right now. So we have some work that our engineer can do. Should get at it. Oh yeah, also we have a new project. Stop looking for new contract work. Let's take a look at this. Also this one. So we have an engineering project, and it was a mistake to start this one. Damn it! I didn't even realize. I need to cancel it. And that will damage relations with the client, but I can't do it right now because I don't have a level 3 engineer. I don't even have a level 2 engineer. I assigned level 1 engineer to this task. This is kind of like an example how the task levels work. I was talking about this earlier on the stream. Actually, this might be like a good point to stop and pause and like figure out the game mechanics once more. So to quickly go over this again, this is a contract work that you can do in the game for other non-player companies. And higher level projects pay more, and they have more tasks, and the tasks have higher level like requirements. So now when we switch back to my mock-up here, there's something to note from that. Higher level projects have more tasks. So whatever mechanic I sorry for the gases again. Anyway, this is a mechanic I need to take into account. So that would mean that maybe higher level projects should have bigger grids. So let's write that note down as well. Okay, it's starting to ran out of space though. Okay, that's better. So that means higher level projects have bigger grids. So just to give some context to this window here, just brainstorming here and putting notes down. And like I mentioned before, normally I would do this on paper, but I wanted to show sort of the process that goes into this. And that's why I'm using a program for that. So, like I'm saying, so maybe like level 1 projects would have 2x2 grids. Level 2 projects would have 3x3 and so forth. So yeah, maybe I could make like a copy of this on, and I can put it here. Then also unlock these, and drag them back here. Oh darn it. I wonder if I can group them somehow. I can. So drag that here. Then let's remove some of these. This one as well. Then unlock this and make the line here smaller. Wait, did I just locked it instead? Wait, I don't even need this one. This one neither. It's annoying that I can't delete without unlocking first. Yeah, I've never used this program before. I just downloaded it today and just seemed to be just about good enough for this purpose. Although it's not meant for something like this at all. Just needed something that would have grids and objects that I can drag and drop into those grids. So anyway, let's say this is the level 1 project. There's not much you can do with it, realistically. There's like not many layouts you could do here. Also, one thing to take into account, Also, quickly to go back and explain to those who have joined the stream later. The mechanic I'm trying to do here is sort of based on the 15 puzzle game, and this is just like a random example that I found on Google. So I'm pretty sure most of you have seen this in some form, since this is a game that's been around for like decades, if not more. Who knows, maybe even centuries or whatnot. So you're supposed to just rearrange the tiles and get the numbers in order. So that's kind of what I'm going for here, but instead of like having a correct order, you would move these around and you would get some layout. Pretty much any of them would work, but the way you lay it out determines the parameters of that product. So originally, as I figured, each of these would mean like one task. So this example would be level 1 engineering, level 1 testing, and level 1 design for each of these icons in the grid. And pretty much any way you arrange these, the result would be the same. Meaning that that these tasks would be the same, but it would affect maybe something else by their placement in the rows and columns. And I have not figured out what exactly that would mean. But yeah, with this it would be pretty much straightforward, with the exception that you can't move this here unless I make the mechanic so that you can drag from any place to any empty space. So not just left, right, up, down, and not just diagonally either, but say on this 3x3 grid you could drag this here. And that would take sort of some of the puzzle mechanic out of it. But on the other hand, it would add like more combinations, right? Oh yeah, you should also note down something else here. What to project or product categories mean for the grid, which is one of the unanswered questions here. And just to explain what I mean, like this is the old mechanic. So you have like different types of products that you can make, and currently you have different layouts for different products that you can use. So mayhaps I could still keep that. Say if this was like one tile sized component, then I could drag it still around the same way I'm dragging it around right now, with the exception that you wouldn't have this list of components here on the left, and you can't remove the components like this. But I would still have to stick around somewhere. Which kind of goes against the randomness here though. Because the amount of tasks that you have for contracts is not always the same. Like the more there are, the more it pays. But there's like a range, sort of. There's like a minimum amount of tasks and there's a maximum one. And somehow this would have to reflect it as well then. So I should probably note that fact down as well. So what's that? How do I word this? Since different projects have varied amount of tasks, how would that be reflected with this mechanic? So yeah, basically I'm just trying to come up with questions I need answers for, and then try to figure out the answers that fit all of the questions in some way. I don't know if that's how anyone else designs their games or game mechanics, but I kind of felt like this is the approach that suits me. So what I could do is that the amount of tasks somehow taken from the rows. So say actually let's use the 3x3 grid example again. So say this row is a special row. And this row is ignored. And this one also is a special row. Whatever that special means. Let's say only stuff that is on the special row is generated into tasks, which would make this one level 1 engineering. This one would be ignored totally, and there would be additional level 1 testing and design here, like this. But where would the challenge be in that exactly? Like, what are the benefits of making a product that either has as much as possible in the ignored lines or has as much as possible in the special lines? So, coming up with this mechanic is sort of like a puzzle for myself, now that I think about it. Like, I have rules written down, and I'm trying to come up with an answer that is within those rules. So I really don't know if anyone designs game mechanics that way as well, or am I unique in that? But I'm an engineer, so whenever I need to figure out something that's the engineering approach I take to it. And there's like several ways that I can go about it. I could like throw out ideas and pick the best out of those, or I could throw out ideas and start removing the ones that don't make sense. I suppose. Or a combination of those. So anyway, the issue with this idea this special and ignored, and special and ignored. That I would assume that mostly you would go for the least tasks in the special rows, or the least components. So you'd have less tasks to work on, and then you can complete the project quicker. And then you don't really like make choices based on that. So that removes the challenge completely. So that's not a good mechanic. I feel like unless there's something else you need to take into account while doing this. Otherwise, just jam everything into this ignored line. Especially, I don't know, say you don't have an engineer. You throw all the engineering tasks in here, and you get a project that has no need for an engineer. So the only reason why you would not do this would be if this specific layout would be patented. And then you'd have to work around it. Maybe like remove one of the engineering tasks. But you know, there's limits to this specific mechanic, and I hope we can come up with something better here. But groups, though, if you create groups, that does not affect the level at all. Then that would make you try to figure out some more interesting layouts, and not just straight lines, but like say you wanted to make groups of all of these. In this case, let's say each of these groups will be one task. Which would give us this. If this was a level 1 project. Let's remove this special and ignored and all that crap. But if this was a level 2 project, then where would the tasks come from? Okay, what if... What if these would also have levels stuck to them? So in addition to their types or colors here, you would also have to take the levels into account when grouping. I wonder if I can write that somehow. There is a text size thingy here. But how do I write it? Edit. Oh yeah, here it is. So let's say this is level 2. Oh, that's perfect. And level 2. And this would be level 1. And same with these. Is there like a shortcut for it? Enter. Okay. Level 2, this would be... level 1. And this would be also level 2. So now I would get, by this grouping, would get level 2 engineering, but also level 1 engineering from this one. And then level 2 testing, but also level 1 testing from this one, because these don't group in that case, and level 2 design, which does group. Then I could move this over here, it would give the same result. This over here is still the same. But if I move this, then I would have 2 level 2 engineering, because those are not grouped anymore. And same with this. So maybe something like this could work. And in addition to that, the demographics that I was talking about earlier, meaning that maybe based on the rows or columns, probably still rows, or maybe both in some way, those would affect the interest certain groups of people might have. So I don't know, maybe like just to generalize it really badly, but like row 1 would be children, and say they would mostly care about the design, And say row 2 would be I don't know, like adults. I should also note that part here. Say they mostly care about design. Let's say the adults mostly care about engineering, and then like seniors would mostly care about testing. You know, these groups of people are just random right now. They could be just as well, I don't know, like based on their income level or something else instead. I still have to figure that out. So let's write that down based on age or income level or some other factor. So what could happen here maybe is that the more design you have here, the better. So say I then put all of these here. The adults care about engineering, so let's put these here. And then like this. And that could be like one way that the potential for different groups of people could be determined. But say if this layout was already patented, then you'd have to make adjustments here. Well, you could still do this and it would be another design. And as a last resort, you could separate these into different tasks, which would still give 2 points for the design. The same way, but it would just take more work to make this. So that's something that could work. Well, we have Nep here. Hello, Nep. Nice to see you join the stream. How are you doing today? Also, to give you a little of explanation what the hell I'm working on here is that I'm trying to come up with a game mechanic for making your own products in the game. Oh, you just woke up? What time is it where you are right now? It must be like some weird hours. It's when I start streaming, it's 2 p.m. Okay. I sometimes do wake up at around 2 p.m. so that's fair. Not lately though, but yeah, it's been known to happen. So to quickly go over again where I'm at here for any new joiners of the stream. So last year, and I hadn't shown it to anyone before this stream, I started working on this mechanic for making your own products. First of all, you pick your whatever you want to make. Say you want to make a phone, and then you have like a list of components that you can drag and drop into this grid, and you sort of figure out a layout, and each of these components determines the tasks that you have for the project. And then there's like a minimum that you have to reach. Don't really remember what that was. So basically, like, you can make an empty one, but you need to have like some amounts of these in here, and this pretty much determines the tasks that you have to do for the project, but that's as far as I got so far. But I decided to lose this version and come up with something different. And one of the reasons is that there's like too many scroll bars here. It doesn't really fit properly. And yeah, so that's one of the problems. And another one was that I discovered that Good Company, a game that just came out, sort of has a similar mechanic, and I figured that maybe it's not good to have the exact same mechanic in my game. Even though it's like a complete coincidence that it's the same, because I had not seen their mechanic before. But you know, mine is unreleased and theirs is released, so they have the upper hand here. So then I figured I'd try and take the example of the 15 puzzle game and sort of go from here. So this is a game where you need to arrange the numbers one at a time by shifting them into this hole. And I thought that, like, if I turned my components into these one tile-sized things, I could maybe try and use the same mechanic for shifting them around. So I could move this into this hole, and this here, and so forth. But then, as I was playing around with this idea today, I started thinking that maybe it would be okay to let you drag into a hole like this as well, instead of only just the ones next to the hole. So from anywhere you inside the hole. And also another one that I was thinking was that maybe in some cases there's several holes that you can drag into, which would give me more flexibility, make it easier for lower level projects. And also, like in the game example here, maybe some of the grids would be shaped differently. And you can just drag the stuff around. So that's kind of where I'm coming from here. So you've been listening to Twitch Sings, and everyone who streams has a great voice. Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to be confident in your voice to sing on a stream, I guess. I mean, I can't sing at all. So you know, I wouldn't sing on stream because that would be horrible. Although there have been streams where people have tried to convince me to try, but I did not fall for their provocations. So I think it's a good concept. Yeah, I'm thinking there's like potential here, but there's like things to figure out, and that's why I've been writing out these questions during the stream that I've been like coming up with that I need answers for when this this mechanic is implemented. So some of the questions, let me read them out. And some of them I may have some answers for already. So what do rows and columns affect? And I've been thinking that they might affect how the different groups of people feel about this product. But how are those people grouped? Are they based on age, or is it based on income level? Is it some other factor that I do not know yet? So are the grid shapes varied or only rectangular? I'm not sure yet. But considering that there's different types of projects, like I was showing, there's like phone, TV, microwave. I'm gonna add a bunch more here. I just haven't yet. So as there's like different kinds, like what would separate working on them would probably be the grid layout. So based on that, I would say that we have an answer for that already. The grid shapes are varied based on product type. And then we also have an answer for this question. So that's something. So you almost went to sing but decided not to do it. Well, yeah, I don't. Depends on how comfortable you are with something like that. On a previous stream, I discussed it a little bit. I think it was on a stream. Maybe it was in the chat on Discord. But I was saying that I did have a small singing career, in quotes, meaning that I performed on stage live by singing when I was maybe like 5 years or 6 years old. And and it was like a local event in the place where I grew up, and they had kids singing there, and I was one of the kids, and it wasn't solo. I had pretty much like a duet with one of the other kids in my kindergarten. But I think that's been the only time when I've actually sang on stage. But instead of that, I did have a short-lived, let's call it a rapping career as well, where I performed rap songs on stages. And I did that for a few years. But I wasn't really like highly known for it or anything, and that was during the time when hip-hop as a music genre was as big as it is in this country right now. So there were only like a handful of people doing that, and only a handful of people listening to hip-hop as well. So you could count the performers or rappers in dozens, definitely not in hundreds. So thanks to that, I had the opportunity, I guess. Like even though I wasn't that good at it, I didn't have that much competition. But yeah, that was fun though. I mean, I did like live performances. There's like something special, like a special energy there that you can't really get elsewhere. I mean, in a way, maybe streaming sort of goes into that niche as well. Although probably streaming is in some ways easier because you don't see the people looking at you, and I'm still like by myself here. I'm looking at the camera, and I just kind of like know that there's people out there watching, right? But yeah. Maybe eventually, to celebrate something, I would do some sort of a live performance on the stream, like a special event. But we'll see. I'm not giving any promises right now for it. So anyway, back to the mechanics here. So we do have some answers already. So that's a maybe, though I'm not sure about that. Losing some space here though. Let's make it bigger. So are there going to be more holes to move into? I'm thinking yes, because that would give some more flexibility. So again, not only the grid size would be, or the grid shapes would be different, but some grids or some products would have more holes there that you can play around with, and some would have less of them. It could even be that maybe in some cases you don't even need the hole in the first place, and you can just drag something there and they will switch like places. I can't show it with this mock-up thingy, but you know, I will drag this engineering over here and it would switch places with design. So I guess that could work as well. Maybe even some with no holes. There's a conflict here that I'm seeing though. Right now, when there's more tasks to do than the clients, let's check the game for a moment. So when you're doing the contract work, then the clients pay more if there's more tasks for the project. So what's like the why would the client have more tasks then? Why wouldn't they make a layout where there's as few tasks as possible? That's a good question. Another question that I have not noted down yet. If we look at this, even with removing this box here for the components, there's not going to be that much space for the schematics. Unless we add the scroll bar here again. And I'd rather not have that. But what if I like rotate the schematic here though? So it's more wider than higher. So yeah, more like this instead of what the phone is. And I kind of know what I was going for here. I was trying to make sort of the shapes of those items. So like TV would have the antennas and microwave is just random. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I mean, okay, that they don't really seem like anything after all. So maybe that's not an issue then. I guess I would have to count like how many could reasonably fit in here. So I have this mock-up. I can make something based on this and then try and see. So this is the background. And where is this? That was here. Then if I copy these over in the correct layer, how many can I fit? I guess about this much. So how much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I could probably fit like 15 by 4, which is 60 tiles, right? And it would have holes in places, so you can't easily group everything in a single row. Could I try and do a mock-up like that? So let's make a shape. I guess this one too. Let's say this marks an area where I can't place anything into. Let's remove some of these. So say I can't put anything here. Let's make a copy. And here either. So now it becomes more of a challenge to group these. And if you missed the grouping mechanic I was describing earlier, then that was like if you put like the same level components next to each other, then those would group into a single task. But now if you want to have let's move this. Let's put this here. So say you want to make this kind of a group, which would be like a simple one. So you combine these into one task. And then actually, let's get some more here. Say you want to put more emphasis on the level or on the design here. So you would, let's say you have this one as well. So then you have a choice of either splitting these two into separate tasks. Just to show that. So those would be separate. And then you need to figure out where to place this level 2. Engineering, and then you have grouped the other ones. But what if there's another disabled area here? How would you go about grouping them? Basically you can't anymore. Which is where the challenge would come from then. You could put these like this. So you'll have one level 2 task, 2 design tasks, and 2 testing tasks here. No, one testing task because it's grouped. But you don't get the design benefits as much here. For the children, you only get one for the engineering here. And you get one for the testing here. But if you wanted to maximize like the appeal, then instead what you would do is this. And it would take longer to make this project, right? Because you have more tasks. You have let's write it down actually to make it clearer. So you have 2 level 2 design, 2 level 2 engineering tasks, 1 level 2 testing, because those are grouped here, and 2 level 2 design tasks, which are these 2. And that would maximize the appeal for children, for adults, and seniors within these limits. So I'm seeing there's like a thought process that could go into this when you're playing. And say someone patents this specific layout, and that's like the perfect product, there's like no way to make a better product given these constraints, and you still want to release something, what would you do then? Then you have to make a choice, I guess. What do you want to prioritize? So maybe you'd go like this. You'd still get the one design point here for the children, the one engineering point for the adults, and the 2 for testing for seniors. And maybe you would concentrate selling this to the seniors then only. And you would put all the marketing later on into getting the product in front of these, while the other company that had the perfect product would instead market to children only, which would give you a niche. So I'm feeling like we're getting somewhere here. Although, when I was making this mock-up here, I did not take into account that I do want to, I guess, visualize somehow the row benefits here then. So maybe I would have to remove like at least 2 of these, which would give me 13 by 4 tiles to work with then. So yeah, I will have to calculate this out a little to see how well it distributes over specific levels. Assuming that the grid gets bigger with higher level products. So 13 by 4 would be the maximum amount, but none of them would use that because I'd have the disabled areas inside here in some places. So maybe even we could cut it in half. It would be like 6 by 4, which doesn't really leave that many tiles to work with. But I definitely don't want that scroll bar there. That's only for the low resolution though. Like if I zoom out, whoops, I zoom out a little. Then that becomes a non-issue. Well, this is too much zoom out. Let me switch to this. Like this maybe. Then that's not an issue. But I don't know what resolution people want to play in. So yeah. So maybe. But I should write that down then. But what? How to fit the bigger grids in without a scroll bar? I'm not really expecting to find the answers to all of these questions right away. Like I've said, I'm not the world's greatest game designer by far, and I don't feel like it comes naturally to me, like some other game development aspects. So sometimes these things take a while for me to figure out. But I did want to kind of give you an insight to my process, which is what these streams are in the first place. And maybe if you're ever designing a game, maybe you'll get some ideas of how you can approach things yourself. I'm not saying this is a good way to do things, but this is a way. So, if this helps anyone, that's great. So what I'm thinking then is mayhaps I should start wrapping it up for today. We are coming up to almost 3 hours already. But I do have some answers here, and I've gotten further than I was at the beginning of the stream, definitely. And I have a bunch of questions written down that I will have to ponder on. These are good things to think about in the bed, when going to sleep. That's a good time for me to think over things. And also in the shower, I guess, is where a lot of people get ideas, and so forth. So I think I kind of have an answer for this question. What else? I guess I have more. Like my one concern here is that why would you not group absolutely everything together if possible? Like, what's the downside of that? So, I don't know, like, why would you not place all the engineering components in this box and all the design in this box and all the testing in this box, and then it would just be boring. And every project would have pretty much like the 3 tasks only, and not a bunch like in this example. And that becomes a concern with higher level projects that should actually have more tasks than the lower level projects. So there's a question of how to force more tasks to higher level projects. And one way maybe would be to start doing something with the columns as well. But what exactly then? That's like maybe these could have negative effects somehow. That would want you to break things up more. Or maybe, what if I brought the demographics down into these columns instead, or the groupings of people and their preferences, and these rows would have different kinds of effects. And why that is because they're more likely to be, the grids are more likely to be wider than higher. So they're not going to be square like this most of the time, but more like wider. And if the demographics here would be in columns, that would keep the mechanic pretty much the same. But then on the rows I could force some kind of mechanic that makes you want to break the tasks apart. Oh, like what if the demographics stayed still here, but they hated something, like if something is over-engineered or something like that. So wait, before I do that, let's put something here. So children like design, and this is all like arbitrary. Yeah, I wish I could rotate the text here. Maybe it's an option. Order size. Custom properties. Nope. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible here. Story. Thingy. Doesn't look like it. Text. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it'll have to do. It looks kind of nasty, but whatever. Adults. Engineering. Actually, you could just shorten it then. Design. I could change the font size as well, but then maybe it's not very visible on the stream for you. Señor. Yes, señor. Wait, how is it written exactly? Is it like this? It doesn't fit. Not that senior means senior. So anyway, these would still count as positives. Let's add a plus sign here then, just to emphasize it. And for some crazy reason, let's say children hate products that are tested. They want to do the testing themselves. I don't know. They find it less exciting. Let's say adults don't care for design for some reason, which doesn't make sense, but let's just roll with it. And seniors don't like engineering then, because in their days the engineers didn't use computers but engineered everything with their hands. They chiseled it out. So how would I go about maximizing it now? So let's move these all out for a moment and then try to figure out the best placement. Yeah, back in my day we didn't have this technologically. So children like design, and adults don't like it, so it's best to keep those apart. Then the engineering. Now here's a dilemma already. Like if I put engineering here, then the adults would like it, but seniors wouldn't. And then I don't even have like a place to put this. This becomes useless. Because the children don't care about the engineering, and neither do they care about it negatively. And then I would put this here. But you see, this would affect negatively this row, even though it gives positives to the senior. So maybe then you would want it that way. Which would give this wouldn't affect anything here. And this would not affect anything either. This would give testing to seniors. And now nothing is grouped. So you would get 2 level 2 engineering, 2 design, and 2 testing here. But maybe you then want to complete the project faster, and you're willing to take the loss here. So you group testing for 2 reasons. You group it for the less number of tasks, but you also get benefits for seniors. But now, since the benefit is removed here, then maybe you'd want to move these around, and you would also group engineering. Wait, but that would still be negative for the seniors. But how about this then? This doesn't affect anything. Neither does this. Does this? Okay, now everything is grouped. And the most points would go to engineers, who get 2 from testing here and no negative points. So let's put that somewhere here. Points. Seniors would have 2. And then children get 1 from this design here. And then adults get how many? No negative points, but also no positive points. So adults get 0. And there's 1 of each tasks. So this way, you'll just decide, okay, I will make this product mostly for seniors. I will market it to seniors and a little bit to adults as well. And that's how it will work. So I feel like this mechanic might work out. The question is how to visually present this information in these thingies. Like this probably would go on top instead, not in the bottom. I don't know how I would actually fit all that in here. Plus, in this example, we only have like 3 of these columns and they're all different. But if there's more columns, then say this would be children, maybe this as well, and this, and maybe these 2 would be seniors, and there's like an adult somewhere, and it's more like randomized, or maybe not exactly randomized, but based on the product category and the level of it. So yeah, there's like minor details to figure out here, but I feel like this is at least worth experimenting with. So what I'm thinking is that I'll make a bunch of these bigger mockups, and then we'll go from there. But okay, let's start wrapping it up then. Let me switch my wheel to this. Hello. So anyway, thanks for watching again. This was a completely different stream from what I've done so far, and I've never done these game mechanics like figuring out or like brainstorming before. But I feel like it was like an interesting thing to do. We definitely did have some viewers for this type of stuff as well. So maybe I'll do more of something like this in the future. Although, I mean, there aren't that many like more complex game mechanics that I still need to figure out. So I don't know. But this topic definitely will continue in future streams, as I will need to keep working on this, and I will need to draw a mock-up of the visuals of this, and I will also need to start implementing it all in the game. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you hopefully again sometime. Now I have a new schedule again, or I've gone back to the previous one of doing these streams on Monday every week at 6 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. EST, and 8 p.m. Estonian time. And yeah, okay. Bye. See you.